government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish.
Of the people, by the people, for the people.
And that government of the people, by the people, and for the people, shall not perish from the earth.
You know, it's just awfully good that someone with the temperament of Donald Trump is not in charge of the law in our country.
Because you'd be in jail.
Secretary Clinton.
Good afternoon, everybody. Chris McDonald, Mac Files number 26 on a... What is this day? This is Thursday. My goodness, October the 13th. We're just so glad to have you guys today with us, and we're trying to get some of our technical situation straightened out here. Just give us a minute here, and we'll do that. Trying to make ourselves look a little bit more normal here on this screen. That may not be possible today, but we sure are glad that you're with us today. There we go. And it is a wonderful day to have you here on this Thursday afternoon. Oh, my goodness, what a beautiful day in these hills. And it is a early October preview of things to come. The colors are beginning to change in the upper elevations so slightly. There's some still quite a bit of green up there, but there is some color coming into the trees. And I'm thinking in a few weeks, probably around the last week of October, first week of November, we're going to have a kaleidoscope up here in the mountains because we've not had any cold weather, and that's usually damaging to the trees. And we've not had a lot of rain. It's been dry. Warm days, lots of sun, those cool nights. It's been a good combination. And I'm just excited because I'm a photographer and I look forward to that. And I think we're going to be in store for a great fall season here in the hills. We're just so glad you're with us today, man. We've got some good stuff on the Mac Files broadcast today. We're going to be talking about the black voters out there. We're going to talk about a few polls. We're going to talk about the Dems. Big story today. We're going to be dealing with the FBI, how the agents are very upset about what transpired back in July with the decision by Director Jim Comey and Loretta Lynch, the Department of Justice Attorney General, to not prosecute Hillary Clinton. And a lot of FBI agents are upset. We've got that clip coming. We're going to listen to a clip of Fox News. Judge Andrew Napolitano discusses it along with Catherine Herridge, the one that broke the story. I remember somebody saying back in the summertime, one of the talking heads, that the FBI story would go away and the email story would go away as long as nobody came forward from the FBI and said the FBI agents are upset that they didn't prosecute her. And that is now gone away because now FBI agents by the scores are coming forward saying, we did all the hard work, we saw the evidence, we saw what we presented to Director Comey, we saw what we presented to the Department of Justice, and for them not to prosecute her is a travesty. You're going to listen to that in just a second. And it bears out the collusion between the Clinton camp, the Hillary Clinton herself, Bill Clinton, Attorney General Loretta Lynch, ultimately down to James Comey. It's still unclear whether Comey was in on this or he just was told to do this by powers that be. But he disgraced himself by what he's done. His career in justice is pretty much over, and I think he should hang his head in shame, as should Director Lynch. But again, folks, when you have Barack Obama as a president, the rule of law has not been adhered to in 8 years. Why should it start being adhered to now in his last year? And, we've got 2 more months of this crap, and then hopefully, prayerfully, we will have a new president, and that being Donald J. Trump. I don't hide on these podcasts who I'm pulling for. I know some people out there are sort of closet Trumpers is what I call them. And, they have every right to be because there's a lot of animosity, a lot of hatred out there for Donald Trump, especially among left-wing loons and these liberals who see him as a threat to their way of life. But he's also hated by a lot of right-wing conservative people, a lot of Pharisaical Christians, a lot of people that think they're holier than Donald Trump and that they, we can't have this imperfect candidate that says a few bad words sometimes and he becomes human and, he has a past. And I think that Jerry Falwell Jr. summed it up as good as he could yesterday when he basically said, unless we have Jesus Christ running on the ticket, folks, we're always going to have somebody that's going to have flaws. And Franklin Graham basically said the same thing 2 days ago during his prayer march, and we're going to talk about his prayer march a little bit tomorrow. It's been a great thing for America. It's not gotten a lot of attention in the media, which it won't, but Franklin Graham's ministry has been going to a lot of the cities in the battleground states all over the country, from Maine to California, all over the southeast, the northeast, the Midwest, the plains, up near the Rocky Mountain area, and they've been strategically going to cities they feel like are going to hold big keys to this election, and they've been praying for the election, and they're praying for Donald Trump, and I appreciate him doing that. And, he sees the evil, and he recognizes what is at stake in this country. And it's a shame that more people don't. But, I think Jerry Falwell, what he said yesterday is the truth, that unless we have Jesus Christ running, folks, we're going to have a candidate with flaws, and we're going to have somebody with a past. And both candidates have that. Both she and him have that. There's been some ugly, gutter things that she has said and has come out with that has been revealed in these emails. We were having a little technical issue last night, and we were sort of dealing with that, but we were trying to, in the podcast last night, we tried to discuss those a little bit, her comments about Christians and Catholics, and the disparaging remarks that her campaign head made, calling it the bastardization of faith, people that follow Christ and people that follow God. And folks, let me tell you something. That sentiment is going to carry on in her presidency if she's elected, because she will do everything she can to bring to an end any example of faith. I really believe that. I believe that that's her goal, is to eradicate the Christian faith from the American landscape and just let the Islamic and the Muslim and the liberal and the progressive ideas of homosexuality, same-sex marriage, abortion, unfettered abortion, partial birth abortion, all sorts of the most ungodly, wicked things you've ever seen and heard of in your life. I think that is her vision and her progressive view for this country. And it's going to be an attack. We think we've had our faith attacked during the Barack Obama years. Honey, this is going to be on steroids if Hillary Clinton's elected. And it's a scary thing. It really is a scary thing to think about. But the horror of it is that when you tell her supporters that, they just blow that off. They say, no, that's not true. Hillary will never do that. And then they're presented this week with hardcore evidence. This is how she feels. I mean, basically, her own people criticizing, and not just criticizing folks, but mocking and ridiculing Christians and Catholics, and just taking a slap at them. And we played you the clip yesterday, albeit it was a little technically challenged, of the priest, the gentleman up in New York that goes on Fox News a lot. And he looked right into that camera and he said it's racial bigotry, not racial but spiritual bigotry, and it is. And it's just ironic that, Donald Trump's always the one labeled the bigot, and he's labeled the racist, but yet Hillary Clinton says these things and the media is silent. And I think that's been a very frustrating thing to see in this last month and a half, and just how unfair the media has been to Donald Trump and how unfair they've been to him compared to her. But folks, it wouldn't matter who the candidate is, whether it be Donald Trump or Ted Cruz. If Marco Rubio would have won, they'd have been doing the same thing. If Bush would have won, or any of them, it would have been the same thing. It's just on steroids because Donald Trump is getting it from both medias. He's getting it both from the right-wing media and these pundits and the left-wing media, whereas the other candidates may not have gotten it from the right side. But again, the fact that he's getting it from both sides lets me know he's the man for the job, because he's not beholden to one side or the other. He don't care. And Donald Trump's the kind of man that as a businessman, he's always been like this. He will get the job done, and he really don't care what he has to do to get it done. Folks, that's what we need. That's what we need as a president. And, we stumble over our shoelaces trying to, be offended at everything he says. And, we're so worried about that, and we're willing to let the country go right down the toilet into communism, socialism, and God knows what else, for the sake of our principles and for the sake of us acting like we're holier than thou. And, these religious people, and look, folks, I'm a person of faith. I'm not ridiculing people of faith, but I'm telling you right now, these people of faith are ridiculously foolish and moronic to come out and try to, call these things out by Trump, and then most of these same people that you hear doing the worst talking about Trump have very little to say about Hillary Clinton. Very little. And it blows me away that they can't see the evil in her, but they get offended at words by him that were uttered 11 years ago. And again, I will make this point. You all know this already. Donald Trump was not in public office when he made those comments. Donald Trump was a businessman. He was just a normal citizen. Comments by Clinton, the things that they're saying that she said, these comments are said by her while she has power in government as Secretary of State, as a senator, and as a former First Lady. And a lot of the things that she's done while she's been in government. And yes, there is a difference between the two. And, you know, again, the media is just doing everything they can. We ran the clip last night a little bit, Bill O'Reilly saying 3 major networks, including Fox, sadly, have basically told their people that do everything you can to destroy Trump. That's why I hold out hope Tuesday night that Chris Wallace will be fair, but we never know what Chris Wallace is going to do. I do believe he'll be as hard on Clinton as he will Trump, but Chris Wallace is coming with the idea that he's coming to, you know, make headlines on both candidates as far as the questions he asks. And so, you know, we're going to see how that plays out. I hope it's a little bit more fair and balanced than it has been in the first two, but Trump has survived it. A couple of quick snapshot polls, and I'm going to go into our subject for today. One poll out today in Ohio has Trump up by 1. We always knew Ohio was a battleground state. That's going to go back and forth. He's got to work hard in Ohio. Florida, they're tied. He's up. I think she's up by about 1.5 in one poll. But again, these polls, folks, are all over the place. The Real Clear Politics average has it basically in a statistical tie. He did get some encouraging news. Nationally, the Rasmussen poll has him up by 2. He was down by 8 points Friday after that video, and he's made that up plus 2 in a week, and a lot of that came after the debate, and he had a very strong debate performance, and the Rasmussen poll had it up by 2. And I mention Rasmussen because of all the polls that are out there. Rasmussen has gotten the last 2 presidential elections spot on and right. He predicted John McCain would lose by 7. John McCain lost by 7. He predicted Mitt Romney would lose by 5%. Mitt Romney lost by 5% nationally. And again, none of this matters in the overall picture. It's that electoral college and states. Donald Trump has got to win Ohio and Florida. If he loses those 2 states, folks, this election will be over. Because he will not carry the blue states, California, New York, Oregon, Washington, Illinois, big electoral state. You know, the Democrats already have like 180 votes in the bag before they even wake up on the morning of the election. And, you know, that leaves the other states so vitally important for him to win. And, you know, we talked about the enthusiasm factor, and I do believe that is higher on his end than it is hers. But it all goes back down to the voting and who is going to vote. And that's why voter fraud and things like that are important. We're going to talk about that a little bit here in just a minute and play something that's going to be disturbing for you to listen to. And we'll get to that in just a second. I want to change screens on you. We'll come back to the main screen here in a minute, but I do want to change screens, and I want to go over here to my main story today, and I want to basically read this Twitter feed that came in yesterday. It says, hacked emails from WikiLeaks appear to show the Clinton campaign and spokesman in touch with DOJ officials regarding the email litigation, basically saying that these WikiLeaks emails that have been leaked show a pattern that the Clinton campaign, and that really includes Bill, that includes the airplane visit with Loretta Lynch, that includes everything, has been in collusion with they were in collusion with the White House and the Department of Justice during the time of the investigation. I'm going to bring myself down a little bit so you can see that bigger. Again, let me put myself up here, and you can see this right here. And I'm going to move Donald out here in a minute. I just like listening to that clip so much. I swear, this is the absolute line of the year. And before I play the Fox News thing, I'm going to play that again because people laughed that night about it, both for him and a lot of the derision he got over it. But folks, it's the truth. She deserves to be in jail. She deserves to be behind bars. And But I want you to listen to this 5-minute clip from Andrew Napolitano. This is a Fox story, just came out yesterday about the FBI's. But before we listen to that, we got to listen to the Donald one more time.
You know, it's just awfully good that someone with the temperament of Donald Trump is not in charge of the law in our country.
Because you'd be in jail.
Awesome.
Secretary Clinton.
Awesome. You'd be in jail. You would be in jail. And this is why, folks, she should be in jail. Listen up.
Decision not to prosecute Hillary Clinton for mishandling classified information, causing a split inside the agency. An insider telling Fox News that career agents and investigators believed without exception that Mrs. Clinton should have faced charges. And then they say they were shocked when they heard
These are the agents,
these
folks.
words from James Comey early July.
In looking back at our investigations into the mishandling or removal of classified information, we cannot find a case that would support bringing criminal charges.
Are you
on
kidding
these
me?
facts. We are expressing to justice our view that no charges are appropriate in this case.
Peter Schweizer.
Biggest travesty of judgment, folks, in the history of this country. The biggest travesty of justice.
Can you
Listen to
match
this.
the reporting from our folks here at Fox about those who are dismayed on the inside of the FBI?
Yes. In fact, I was up in Washington, D.C. about 10 days ago doing some business and talked to people that had been in law enforcement at the federal level and also prosecutors who said the same thing. They did not know of a current FBI agent who was familiar with the case who did not think that Hillary Clinton should face legal jeopardy because of her actions in the email case.
Here's the quote. Safe to say the vast majority felt she should be prosecuted. Here's another one. Unanimous that we all thought her security clearance should have been yanked. So they hear these words from Comey and says, basically the case is closed, Peter.
Yeah, that's the case that Comey makes. I think what a lot of agents are frustrated about is they believe in basically the old FBI, that they were going to take on whoever they needed to take on if they were powerful individuals or ordinary Americans who had violated the law. And this kind of goes to the heart of the credibility of the FBI. If they're going to have different legal standards for people in positions of authority and power like Hillary Clinton than ordinary Americans who are being prosecuted, by the way.
But the same
guy
thing
out in California who was taking pictures inside the submarine to show family members who's facing legal prosecution under the same statute of Hillary Clinton, sharing classified information. It's just amazing.
Yeah, and they may have been disgruntled, but they lost, Peter.
Yeah. No, that's exactly right. What's interesting about the emails that have been coming out, Bill, is we now know
Listen to
first of
this.
all that the Clinton team, these hacked emails, that the Clinton team completely underestimated the importance of this story. They basically poo-pooed it in early 2015, and then you have these emails where they're talking about what are we going to release, what are we not going to release.
Collusion, folks. That's called collusion.
Defiance of the Freedom of Information Act requests that have been filed, and also the action on Capitol Hill that was asking for Hillary Clinton's team to turn over all their emails.
Now
It's pretty
context
shocking.
on that timeline is all in the month of March of 2015. At the end of the month is when you had the server wiped clean. At the beginning of the month, you find the following emails, such
Listen
as
to this.
Philip Raines works on Hillary Clinton's team, an aide to her. Rather than going around and around how to release the 55,000, let's just be for what's happening and use this as the excuse. Because we can say, even if state has equities, not providing them, meaning the emails, would put her in legal jeopardy. Or we say, happy for them to have it, happy for the public to read them. As soon as state is comfortable, let's somehow take advantage of this, end quote. The point in all this is they were trying to figure out how they could paint this in the best light possible.
Exactly, folks. Listen to
Remember,
this.
That was an email that was written on the 4th of March of that month.
And that server was cleaned 3 weeks later.
4 weeks, the server was wiped clean and all the
By bleach it.
emails were gone.
That's right. The interesting question in this bill, of course, is these emails were obtained through a hack, obviously, but the information is there. It has not been challenged. The question is, does this reopen a legal case?
Does it?
Against either Hillary Clinton? I'm not an attorney, but I would say they need to look at this because it clearly goes to this question of you get just a little bit later this congressional subpoena requesting these records, and they're using BleachBit basically to wipe this clean. This certainly shows the intentionality that the FBI director claimed he didn't have at the time.
Peter, thank you. Peter Schweitzer, a lot to go through on this. Thanks again.
And that's that. And I'm not going to belittle the point, but they brought us some great points there, folks, that I want to talk about real quick. Let me tell you this. Donald Trump brought this up at the debate last Sunday night, and this is what he said. When she got that subpoena by the Freedom of Information Act, Freedom Watch, to release those emails, and the reason they found these emails was because there was discrepancies in her Benghazi testimony to the congressional hearing, which, Hillary Clinton having discrepancies in testimony is like the Pope saying he's going to a Catholic event. I mean, my Lord, it always happens because she's nothing but a liar. That's what she does. She lies. And, it opened this red flag. They started investigating. That's when they found out she had put this private server in her house. She gets the subpoena to release the documents and the emails on that server. That's when, after the subpoena has been given to her, that she goes and gets this bleach bid, and this Brian Pagliano, who's not been seen since he pled the fifth about 3 weeks ago, and nobody knows where he's at, ironically, and he probably knows exactly what was on that server, but they deleted those bleach bids, and or these emails by bleach bid, and as Trey Gowdy said, comically but very seriously, he said they bleached it in such a way that even God couldn't find them. But the problem with that is now that the FBI knew all this. They had discovered this in their investigation, and these agents who worked very hard and almost 600 to 800 man hours building this case, saw all of that work, all of that time, all of that energy that they spent, and they handed it to their head, their boss, James Comey, and he basically put his middle finger up to the rule of law in this country, as did Loretta Lynch, and said, we can't prosecute her, we've got to have her run for president. And that's sort of what's being insinuated in these emails, that they wanted to make sure that she was given a clear pass and a clear path to the presidency so that nothing would come of the investigation, because they knew that if she got indicted, it was game over, but not just for her, folks. It was game over for the Democratic Party, because the only person out there that they thought was going to be her challenger, Bernie Sanders, even though Bernie's appeal was great among the young people, when you start having an avowed communist running for president, the American people, I hope to God we would never elect an avowed communist and put him in the White House, because as lovable as Mr. Bernie is, Mr. Bernie was a loon. He's a left-wing loon, folks. When all was said and done, Bernie Sanders was a communist-leaning socialist loon. And the Democrats knew that. And that's why they stacked the deck against Bernie. That's why they did all the dishonest things that cost Debbie Wasserman Schultz her job. That's why they've done all these nasty things and all these emails coming out calling Bernie's people, basement dwellers, and calling these Latinos needy, and calling black people ugly things. I mean, basically saying this week that blacks are by just habit needy, and it just, despite all of the things that they say about them, that no matter their circumstances, black people are just not the same quality as other people. That didn't come from Donald Trump. That did not come from the Republican nominee for president. That came from Hillary's camp. That came from her camp. And as I was just flipping to get an article just now, I just read a poll. Fox News has her up by 7 points in this country, in this race. 7 points. Granted, it's 3 weeks away, and there's a long way to go. And, I don't know the way that they've done those polls. But, again, if this is how the country wants to play it out, and this is the kind of leader that they want, we're going to drink of the bitter waters of a lawless woman that cares nothing for the rule of law, that has twisted the rule of law, that is a criminal, that should be in jail, but yet she's the Democratic nominee for president, and the Democratic Party and all those voting for her care 0% about the integrity of the Constitution and 0% about the integrity of law in this nation. And folks, without that, you have anarchy, you have no nation, you have no democracy, you have no republic, you have nothing but a lawless society where all things are basically on the table, that we wound up in basically a purge atmosphere. And those of you who know what I'm talking about, if you've seen the Purge movies, that's what those movies portray, is a society for one night that has no laws, that everybody can break the law and do anything they want to do without any kind of restraint. Folks, we're headed for that very quickly. And nobody seems to care. Nobody seems to care. In most cases, had that report come out and people understood that, her poll numbers shouldn't be going up. They should be tanking, but they're going up. One reason is the mainstream media is not promoting this, or not talking about this, or not discussing this. You know what they're discussing? They're discussing a video 11 years ago. Showed you the image yesterday. 198 minutes to 13. That's the discrepancy between what has been basically appropriated to Donald Trump's video and Hillary Clinton's email issue and these FBI recordings and these FBI agents saying what they want to say. Folks, that's travesty, and that is wickedness, and that is evil beyond words. But that's where we're at in America. And I want to turn my attention now next to something, and this is going to be an interesting next segment as we come even closer into the third part of this section today. I want to play you two clips, and because this basically speaks to the nation prior to Obama, but it also speaks to his influence over the country, even now as we enter into this election season, and where his role is going to play in either getting Hillary Clinton elected or getting Donald Trump elected. But something happened with a dear lady. Her name is Dr. Patricia Green. She is she's a very spiritual lady, and I believe her. What she says here, this is a vision that she had, and I want to play this for you tonight as we change subjects just a little bit, but staying on this situation about lawlessness and the way the country does not do anything to embrace law, but the spirit that is descending upon the country. I'm not going to play all of this. This is a 5-minute clip, but I want to play the first 3 minutes of this. I want you to listen to what Patricia Green had a vision of back in 2008. This goes back to the time Hillary and Barack were running against each other. It's very interesting. And listen up.
So what I want to start with this evening is a prophetic word that I received back in 2008 during the Democratic race between Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton, because it ties in with what I will move into. Now, when I received this word from the Lord, Hillary Clinton was slightly ahead in the Democratic race. And the Lord said this to me. He said, Barack Obama will win the Democratic nomination, and he will be the next president of the United States of America. And quickly I said, Lord, do you expect me to vote for a man who supports abortion and homosexuality? And the Lord replied to me, and he said, child, I did not tell you to vote for him.
I want to stop that right there. There's some of you that's listening to me tonight that you don't care about homosexuality and you don't care about abortion. God does. God does. God cares about those things that affect our nation that are in contrary to his word. I don't say that in a judgmental way. I don't say that in a holier than thou way. I don't say that in a mean-spirited way. I say it as someone who is of the faith and understands the heart of God in these matters about our nation. And I do understand where he feels about this. And this lady is confirming what he feels about it. And I want you to listen to this more, because the Lord, when she asked the Lord about, well, this guy supports homosexuality and abortion, the Lord said, I didn't tell you to vote for him, but this is what he said. Listen.
He said, Barack Obama is a forked-tongued devil. And he said, your country has been pushing for abortions and homosexuality, so I'm giving you a president who will promote abortions and homosexuality. But, he said, be rest assured, my hand of judgment will come against your nation while he is president. Now, I don't know what hand of judgment...
Wait.
Go ahead.
Wait, I got to get you to say that again.
Okay.
Now, this is vital.
January 20th.
Okay.
This is vital. What you have just said, prophetically,
Okay.
I have to put you on my what I would call the top shelf prophet list right now. Hold on just a second. And the Lord told you that these judgments will come down.
On April 30th, the Lord gave me with a vision. And let me explain how.
I'm going to stop her right there because she goes into talking in this at the end of this about another vision that she had in April of this past year of a tidal wave that was so large that it basically destroyed the east coast of America. Now, I don't know if you know that is metaphorically or that's actually going to happen, folks. But let me tell you something. I bore witness with everything that woman just said just now. Because if you look at the last 8 years and the lies and the distrust and the dishonesty and the corruption and everything that Barack Obama has infiltrated into this nation, the racial division, which we're going to talk about in a minute, all of these things that Barack Obama has done over this last 8 years, it does not take a genius. Look, it doesn't even take a spiritual genius or a spiritual person who has got a lot of maturity in the Word of God and spiritual things to even listen to that and say, you know, that's where we're at right now. That's what he's been. But see, the power behind him has not been Barack Obama's. And he doesn't even realize, I think, the power that has been controlling him and Satan's efforts to destroy this country through him. And folks, we're sitting on the precipice of basically sealing the deal. Like if Trump gets in, then he stops this flow of evil. I'm not saying Trump is not completely innocent or if he's an angel or not. Like, he's not an angel. Trump's going to have his issues, and we're going to need to pray for Trump just like we need to pray for anybody. But I do believe at his root part of Donald Trump's heart, he's going to stop this tide of lawlessness, and he's going to bring the country back to a place where God can bless us again. And it's a scary thought to think that we're so befuddled and we're so deceived, and it's like this whole nation right now has got blinders on, and we can't see past our nose. We can't see past a video because we're so worried about a few words 11 years ago. We don't concern ourselves with lawlessness and the dishonesty and the graft and the corruption and all of these things that have been going on in our government for the last 8 years. And really, they've been going on for a lot longer. But Barack Obama has embodied that more than any president we have ever had, that corruption. This next video, even more powerful. I want you to listen to this young lady. She's Jewish. She'll use the word Yeshua instead of Jesus, but this is what she said. Another 5-minute video. I'm going to play about a minute of it. Listen to this.
Good evening. I cover this message in the mighty and powerful and conquering blood of King Yeshua HaMashiach. This message is from the great I Am to Barack Hussein Obama. It goes as follows. This message is from the great I Am, ruler over all peoples, nations, tongues, and I am sovereign. I am merciful, and I am compassionate. I am sending my scribe to compose this critical message. I am serving you a reminder, Barack Hussein Obama. I am has given you your boundaries. You shall not step a toe past them. You know.
All right, I'm gonna stop it right there. I want you to listen to what she just said. The Lord has given Barack Obama his boundaries, and he will not step beyond those. Folks, let me tell you something to give you comfort and encouragement tonight, those of you that are listening to me that are of faith. God is in control of this country. God is still in control of America. Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton and all of their ilk may think what they're doing is being hidden, but what is being hidden in the dark is about to be revealed in the light. Now, whether the American public accepts that and they deal with that accordingly, how they need to, that's a different story. But I truly believe that a lot of this revelation by WikiLeaks, a lot of this stuff that's coming out that we're finding out about now as we approach weeks before the election, I believe it's all God preparing the nation and letting the nation see the light about things that we should have seen months ago and years ago, but they've been hidden from us by powers of darkness and the forces of evil. But everything that is being revealed right now is in God's plan to let the country know what is really going on in America. Now, I want you to listen more, and I'm going to change subjects, but I wanted to play this for you, and I want you to listen about another minute of it. Listen to this.
Control over your father, the devil. and I have complete and utter control over you.
Yes, he does.
Barak, do you think you can honestly contest with me? The one who created this very universe in and out of time existing.
Powerful
Your
words, folks.
fate, which
Powerful
is
words.
eternal, is set to my seal, my word, which is my son, Yeshua, who loves you, Barak, for you are God's very creation. But you are of Satan, the father of lies and a murderer. You know.
I want to stop that right there. It's rare when I hear prophetic words that people are called murderers and of the devil. She called Barack Obama of the devil. The lady before, Patricia Green, said the Lord told her he was a silver fork-tongued devil. Let me give you a little biblical insight here, folks, because beyond the political stuff, I've got a little bit of knowledge. I don't say that much about it publicly. I don't brag about it. I'm not saying this is an arrogant, know-it-all way, but I know a little bit about it. And I'm telling you, in the mouth of witnesses, there's a principle in the Bible that says when 2 or 3 witnesses, let every word be established by 2 or 3 witnesses. You got 2 witnesses confirming the same thing. This prophecy given by Patricia Green was given about 3 years ago. She saw things back in 2008. This lady's prophecy came out just this year. So there's almost an 8 to 9 year distance between the prophecies. Jill Green brought it to light about 2 years ago. So these people don't know each other, but they're saying the exact same thing. And when you start getting somebody saying the same thing, you can take it to the bank from the Lord. That's what they're saying is true. They're not collaborating with each other, but they're speaking from their heart as the things they think God is telling them. That should tell us where our country's at right now, folks, and the leaders that we have. And it's a dangerous thing. It's a dangerous thing. A few more minutes. Let me play a little bit more, and then we're going to call it change up.
Is set to my seal, my word, which is my son, Yeshua, who loves you, Barak, for you are God's very creation. But you are of Satan, the father of lies and a murderer.
Abortion.
You know you will not be able to do as you please with my children.
He's tried.
Let Father of all things, beings, demons, entities, all things great, all things small, Creator of the evil and the good, I shall remind you that I, God eternal, will thwart some of your underhanded and vicious plans towards those who belong to my son Yeshua. My saints will cling to my son, no matter what you may do to them. My son defeated your lying and putrid father and all the army with him. Do not forget this. God, living and breathing, giver of life more abundantly, could take your life forever. You are aware of this before your appointed time in my lake of fire. You won't have very long to be unleashed, and I will keep you on a very short time constraint.
And that's where I'm going to sort of take it off right there. She continues this, folks, for another 2 minutes. But a couple of things there. She's basically telling Barack Obama, as she is this evil, wicked canopy of government that we've got over this nation, God's got a time constraint on him, folks. And the nation chose Barack. And we're going to play something tomorrow that shows you where a lot of people in the prophetic community are believing that God has given the nation a choice. He is the one that has given the nation the choice between continuing on this canopy of evil and this road of evil, or changing up, and yes, an imperfect vessel. But there's hope for change if we'll listen to the voice of God. I've got to finish up. I've been going a little lengthy here. I want to come over here to another thing. I want to play this real quick. This is, and speaking, this sort of goes back to what we just heard about him being a silver fork-tongued devil. And if you don't believe me, I want you to listen to this statement. This is Barack about 2 weeks ago, and just feel the evil and the wickedness and the division and the racial division coming forth in these words of what he's about to say about Donald Trump. Listen to this.
You may have heard Hillary's opponent in this election say that there's never been a worse time to be a black person. I mean, he missed that whole civics lesson about slavery and Jim Crow. But we got a museum for him to visit. So he can tune in. We will educate him.
Really?
He says we got nothing left to lose. So we might as well support somebody who has fought against civil rights and fought against equality and who has shown no regard for working people for most of his life. Well, we do have challenges, but we're not stupid. We know the progress we've made, despite the forces of opposition, despite the forces of discrimination, despite the politics of backlash.
Everything that he's saying, folks, has come from the Democratic Party.
And we intend to keep
Donald
fighting
Trump.
against those forces.
I want you to listen to this, folks. Listen to this. Now, this is a black leader in response
Donald Trump
to this.
last week went to Milwaukee because of the rioting behind a police shooting of a young African-American male by a black officer. And the city was being burned down in certain parts of the black community by protesters. So Donald Trump decided to go to Milwaukee and speak about the conditions of America and why he felt black people should vote for him. He even went on to lay out reasons why he felt we should. Let me say this to the brothers and sisters who listened and watched that speech. We may not like the vessel that said what he said.
Good point.
But I ask us to truly examine what he said, because it is a fact that for 54 years we have been voting for the Democratic Party like no other race in America, and they have not given us the same loyalty and love that we have given them. We as black people have to re-examine the relationship.
I agree.
Where we're being pimped like prostitutes.
Pimped like
and they're the big
prostitutes.
pimps pimping us politically, promising us everything, and we get nothing in return. We got to step back now as black people and say we got to look at all the parties and vote our best interests.
Look, I couldn't agree with you more, Quindell. But you're right.
Spoke directly to black people.
Right.
And I want to say and encourage your brothers and sisters, Barack Obama, our president, served 2 terms. The first black president ever. But did our condition get better?
No, it did not.
Did financially?
No, it did not.
Politically, academically?
No, it did not.
With education in our community?
No,
did
it did
things
not.
get better? Are our young people working
Nope.
more than what it
They're
was
not.
before
They
they
got
came
worse.
into office?
They got worse.
The condition got worse.
Right.
So now we as black people have to do and remember what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said. No politician can save the black community.
No politician, folks, can save the black community, and no politician can save America. Only God can do that. God has given us a choice, though, between continuing down this path of racial division, evil, wickedness, and God knows what else is coming, or we can change course and vote Donald J. Trump. And again, not saying that Donald J. Trump's the savior, but he may be the stoppage of this trend if we put him in office. One quick poll, then I got to go back and wrap it up. My time has slipped on me again. Interesting poll out of Rasmussen today. This is the last 5 days. Basically, black voters likely to vote for Trump. Look at that number. That is just in a matter of 7 days, folks. That number has went from 9% up to 19% as of last Tuesday, the 11th of October. And that's the Democrats' worst nightmare right there. because Donald Trump will never win the black vote. He's not going to win a majority of the black vote. But if that number down at the bottom there gets up into the 20 to 30% range, and 20 to 30% of all the blacks leave the Democratic Party and vote for Donald Trump instead of Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump will be your next president of the United States of America, because she will not overcome that. Because if she does not carry this quadrant of the voting block, she's sunk. She's sunk, because this is what she's holding on to, and this individual right here that is not worthy of the spit in my mouth for any kind of respect for what he's done to this country and the office and what where he's taken the office of presidency for. Somebody told me the other day, I had a black friend of mine, black minister friend, sort of try to rebuke me and say, well, you don't need to be so disrespectful to President Obama. Let me tell you something, friend. President Obama has been disrespectful to the office of president, and until he starts respecting that office, which it's too late to do now because he's been doing this for 7 years, I don't have any inkling of wanting to respect him, because he don't respect the office that he holds. I respect the office of president. I do not respect the holder of that office at the present time, and never will, because of what he's done. And that's a wrap, folks, for a Thursday evening. We went a little long, and I'm sorry. I wanted to put a few other things up, little quirky things. I'm just going to wait till tomorrow when we're broadcasting from down south tomorrow evening. But I just want you to know that we love you. We don't say that too often on these files, but I feel in my heart, listening to those prophetic warnings, listening to the things that are coming, watching Barack Obama speak, listening to the corruption of this DOJ investigation. Folks, there is a canopy of evil on this nation. There is a canopy of corruption on this nation, unlike we have ever had in the history of the Republic. And we need each other. We've got to stick together. And again, I don't care what poll is out there showing what tonight. I don't care if there's a poll that comes out tomorrow night that says she's up by 30. It don't matter. Because I'll leave you tonight, again, with this one thing. The only poll that matters, the only poll that will matter this year will be taken on Tuesday, November the 8th, 26 days from today of 2016, when we elect the next president of the United States of America. And on that note, I'm going to leave you with the words of Donald Trump one more time.
You know, it's just awfully good that someone with the temperament of Donald Trump is not in charge of the law in our country.
Because you'd be in jail.
Secretary Clinton.
Is that not the line of the year, folks? That's the line of the year. And that's a wrap on this Mac Files broadcast on a Thursday night, October the 13th, 2016. We appreciate you being with us, and we send our love and our prayers and Godspeed to each one of you listening and to your families tonight. Give each other a hug out there. Love each other. Care for one another. Keep an eye out for each other's back. And pray for our law enforcement community tonight. We had 2 more officers shot last night in Boston. They're in critical condition today. And folks, there's a war on the law and order of this country, and we cannot have a country without law and order, but that's where we're headed very rapidly. And you're looking at somebody on the left right there that does not care on the right, that does not care about law and order, and she could care less because she knows that she's gotten away with something that she should truly be in jail for. And that's a sad state of affair. Until tomorrow, same bat time, same bat channel. Chris McDonald here. Have a good night, everybody. Godspeed. God bless America, and God bless you. Have a great night. Good night.
The government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish. Of the people, by the people, for the people.
And that government of the people, by the people, and for the people, shall not perish from the earth.